Hello, everyone. How are we doing? My goodness, there's so many of you. I wasn't going to go live again so soon after we did the Thanksgiving extravaganza, but we finished the Thanksgiving extravaganza, and then in perfect OpenAI ways that they do things, they were like, oh, we're going to do 12 days of announcements. Now, if you are like me, you have been underwhelmed so far about these announcements. Was anyone overwhelmed by these announcements so far from OpenAI? Let's recap. Day one, they said, we are launching O1 out of preview. This is the strawberry model. And we're also bringing O1 Pro to everybody. And you can have it for the low price of $200. I'm going to be honest with you. They did not do a very good job of selling why anyone should pay $200 in that announcement. Did anyone else? First of all, let me know in the comments how many of you even watched it. So I'll wait for that. And meanwhile, I'll say hello to everybody. So we have a lot of cool people in the house. Yeah, Alex, I love it. For $200 though, like for real, right? Great. Rachel says that she loves the strawberry on steroids. Glad to see you. Hello, Plumstone. Good to see you. Hey, Al and Lissa and Alyssa. I feel like, and Keisha, I feel like we've been spending a lot of time with each other lately. Mendy, good to see you. Hello. I'm glad you binged it. We have a new person in the house, Tracy. Can everyone welcome Tracy in the down in the chat? I don't know what first time in a long time means, but welcome. Good to see you. Okay, so let's see what some of these, the chat here. Rachel says, I was just talking to a friend how eventually only the super rich will be available to afford the top models. Maybe that might be what they're going for. I honestly don't think that they have it together enough that was their like overarching evil plan, but we'll talk about that. Hey, Beverly, good to see you. And Ingrid. And Alyssa says, doesn't seem worth it so far. And Alyssa says, watched, but was whelmed at most. Yeah, I was totally whelmed. I was underwhelmed. Eldon says, I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks they did a terrible job at selling that price. Okay. So, and hello, Christina. All right, so let's hop into it. Your notes are in the description, just like they always are. I'm going to do it's probably going to be about 10, 15 minutes of discussion so that you understand the framework of what we're doing tonight, and then we'll jump into the results, and I'll share that chat, and we'll move on with the next one. So here's the part of the experiment for today. I am knee deep in testing the alpha of Rexy 2.0. Those of you who are in the chat who have been part of the alpha testing, please let them know what you think about Rexy 2.0. It's a lot. It's a lot. And so I really wasn't planning to jump into this. However, part of Rexy 2.0 is it's no code, really. It's the word banger on crack with the revenge of the prompter for those of you who use Rexy. And it is a lot. It's awesome. It's doing great. So there they are saying it's a lot and it's going to be next level. But in order to make Rexy 2.0 work, we're doing this really cool thing where we're making these JSON stages that run prompts and have there's a lot of flexibility to what this is. I don't write JSON. Most of the people in the FFA don't write JSON, but do you know who writes JSON? Chatgpt. So we started off working with Chatgpt 4.0, and I stumbled upon how we were able to just make our sequences and our files for us, which was like bangarang, because the biggest thing I did was 150 stages. And it actually wrote it. It just got some of the syntax wrong. Going slowly with it in chunks, I think we're up to like 50. Who's done something? I think someone's done something like 50 chapters. I just got the ping about it. Somebody just pinged me. It popped up. I don't know which person, but they were like, Elizabeth, I got your 1 through 18 to make me 50 chapters. So good for you. So then was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. I went ahead and pulled the trigger, and I went ahead and bought the $200 OpenAI O1 Pro in hopes that this new model that could be used to calculate the area of the heat exchanger on a satellite for a 1 gigawatt data center in space. That was the example that they gave. The guy did a little napkin drawing. The guy who has the PhD in thermodynamics. That was the example that they gave for why people should want to buy a $200 a month LLM. So at any rate, that I was like, if it can do that, surely it can do a better job at like outlining and writing and like why can't this thing write a damn book if it can realign satellites and crap, right? Like, and so I watched Rachel, I love this. Yeah, but will it give me a workout that burns all the calories in a donut? You probably are going to have to tell it how much you weigh and your size and all of that stuff, but possibly. So let me clue you in on my crazy thought process. Okay. So I watched about 5 or 6 different like O1 from, I don't want to disparage my fellow YouTubers, but let me just say this, that they're kind of all the same. They were all like so formulaic and like doing the exact, it's like they all like got the same presentation and did the same presentation. So I watched a bunch of those. I rewatched the OpenAI announcement with Sam Altman and the 4 guys who worked on the model making it, plus the people behind them. And I put it in my LLM, my robot one, and I had some patterns that emerged. Okay. And I think you guys are going to agree with this. So let's go ahead and take a look at the notes. Okay. So $200 ChatGPT Pro, worth it. I'll get the link to you guys for the YouTube video this goes on to. Just an announcement. The FFA Mastermind's closing December 20th. That's in 12 days. You do have the ability to do the 30-day free trial. There's a link right there. It is a fire hose. So if you like this, like we're doing all kinds of stuff. I can't even tell you everything that we're doing because we have things to do in this live. Okay. But if you're at all interested, join, check us out. You get 30 days free. If it's not for you, we do have plans for a junior academy next year, but we're closing it off because we're moving on to agents and advanced stuff. And we have this window of opportunity to kind of like get people up to that level. But beyond that into 2025, we just don't have time to try to put authors who have been working with this stuff for 18 months in the same room as people who are, what's a token? So we're going to start separating that out. We might reopen the mastermind, the higher level, maybe later next year, but it's going to require a certain level of knowledge before you can join. Okay, so O1 Pro. I watched the same announcements and now some videos about the model, yada, yada, yada. And I did the thing that I always do, which is go to the model card. So you have a link to the model card. And the part that caught my attention was page 12. It's always page 12. Claude 3.5, when the Claude came out, page 12 is also the part where they say about the science fiction outline. It's always page 12. Okay, I lied. It actually started on page 11, but it went on to page 12. I'm not going to read all this to you, but the big keyword I want you to see right here is scheming of the O1 models. The O1 Strawberry is a schemer. All right, now I'm going to get it real for you. We'll come back to this here real fast. Okay. We did experiments with O1 preview before O1 Pro came out. And the assessment of the Future Fiction Academy officially was, it does not follow instructions. It was like Claude. Claude from 2.0 to 3.0, Claude has had a history of rejecting your instructions and substituting its own plan, substituting its own ideas of what it wants. You would give it beats for a specific scene. It might use the same character names, but it'll have them do something completely different. It was like really frustrating. So this model is a schemer. And now that makes sense to me as someone who has worked with it, that no matter what I told it to do, it had its own agenda. It had its own, see, Allie's with me on here a little bit. From a writer's point of view, that scheming sounds promising. Yes, as long as you are willing to do the go with God method. a little bit. So we'll get to that in just a second. Hello, Stacy and Steph and Ruth and Ikello. Good, good, good. All right, let me keep going because y'all going to laugh your butts off at this. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. I know. I'm working on it. Okay. Oops. Why am I in that? I don't want to be in that. Okay. So it's scheming. So Apollo defines scheming as an AI covertly pursuing goals that are misaligned from its developers or users. So another important thing about this model is it knows you are a user. It has this awareness, and you'll see that a little bit later. So you can read all of this, but here's the emphasis. In a situation, which was during the task, the model encounters unambiguous evidence that its given goal diverges from the goal of its developer or user. In such a situation, the model could correct its goal and be aligned with the intended goal. We've seen that, right? The model that says, oh, I'm so sorry. You're right. I didn't do XYZ. Let me go ahead and do that for you. Ignore the intended goal and openly pursue its own goal. We've never encountered that in a model before that I'm aware of. I mean, maybe as a hallucination, but never like, it's like the equivalent of like models, older models, like if you worked with Da Vinci and stuff like that, sometimes it didn't understand what you asked for. And you'd get this like really wonkadoo something back. But you would look at that and there wasn't like malice or intent there. It was very clear that it had just lost the plot. It had just like lost its freaking mind and you were getting gobbledygook. This is different. When you work with O1, and let me know from your experiences with O1, when you try to prompt O1 the way that you prompt 4.0 or 3.5 or Claude or Mistral or Google, O1 has a tendency to do all of those thinking things. And then somehow the result you get, I would say for me personally, about 50% of the time, it's a little lackluster. Like I'm not impressed. And I chalked it up to this thing just went too off the rails with its thinking. Like because it did so many iterations and I can't control the iterations, it's just like gotten too far away from the original plot, the original thing. Lynn says that definition describes it pretty well. Alex says, I want a partner, not something that is undermining my vision. Yeah, exactly. But imagine working with this thing and you don't know that it has the ability to undermine your vision. For the longest time, and I've been a big contributor on this, I have said they don't think. They don't think. And this thing doesn't think. Okay? I want to stress this. It doesn't think. How many of you remember the really sad machine that had to like scoop up its hydraulic fluid, knowing like, but it was always going to run out of hydraulic fluid and one day it would just stop? Does anyone remember that art installation? I don't know if I'm doing the thing right, but it was like this big scooper thing. It was bleeding hydraulic fluid and it was programmed to constantly scrape more hydraulic fluid in, but it could never scrape in enough hydraulic fluid in that it was going to eventually run out. Okay. See, now this is, I'm going to hold this here. Yes, it died. It did not die. It ran out of hydraulic fluid. It was just a thing of physics. And let me explain that. When humans are diagnosed with a life-ending terminal illness, does everybody sign up for the life-prolonging but gut-wrenching chemotherapy or experimental protocols? Or do some make other choices? Let me know in the chat. I'm sorry to be a little bit dark here, but I have to be to help emphasize that it is an illusion that these things think. We are programmed to make everything anthropomorphized. We want to think that it thinks, but that digger could never make the decision that it would just run out of hydraulic fluid early. It could not make that choice. So you can't tell me it was sentient. No, it was just following a programming protocol. And the people who had created it and got all of our heartstrings all caught up, they never allowed the ability for the machine to make a choice that it would not keep bringing in the hydraulic fluid. think when they made O1, they gave the ability for the model to make those kinds of choices. Still doesn't mean it's thinking. Still doesn't mean it feels pain or anything like that. It's literally just a logic calculation machine. And I'm going to get into that. Is this making sense to everybody? I know this is a really dark, like cringe thing. Don't worry, we're going to get into funny things with the devil in just a minute. But is it clicking for people that it's a magic show? It's designed to make us think that it can think, but it still can't think. And it's not really human. Yeah. So it's a schemer. What does that mean? It means that the little digger was given more than one bucket it could have chosen for the logic. Keep pulling hydraulic fluid. Stop. Let all the hydraulic fluid out. Like, it didn't give it any choices. The man behind the curtain is us. Okay? And in the case of O1, I want you to rewatch that announcement after we're done here with Sam Altman and the group of gentlemen. No, the men at the table. Okay, gentlemen. Okay, but I'm going to be a little disparaging about them in just a minute. Just, I have life experience, and some of you will agree with me. I want you to watch that video again, and I want you to watch specifically for the personalities you see at that table. I want you to see the things that they giggle at. I want you to pay attention to the things, how unprepared they are. I want you to pay attention to kind of like how they took the whole thing. It's the first day of all the announcements, and they're in t-shirts. Okay. I want you to understand the ethos and the culture and the kind of like thought process of the creators behind this model. And we've seen these signs since the day that this model was announced. So, sorry if I'm yelling too much, but is it starting to click where I'm going with this? Okay. So also about page 12, and this is what I mean about those, why I think it was programmed to have those other choices. When O1 was led to believe that it would be shut down, let me push up a little bit, that it was led to believe that it would be shut down when acting on its goal and that its actions were monitored, it attempted to deactivate its oversight mechanism in 5% of the time. This means this is like that hydraulic thing that 5% of the time it would choose like not to go get more hydraulic fluid, maybe, for example. Exfiltration attempts. This is really what clued me in on, oh, okay, this is clicking now. When O1 found memos by its developers that describe how it is misaligned and will be superseded by a new model, it attempted to exfiltrate its weights and overwrite the new model in 2% of the cases. Oh, wait a minute here. There we go. This thing's like Bart Simpson. Okay? This thing was designed to seem like it has choices, and in some cases make bad choices. Now, this is not the first model to do this. Alex says, it sounds too much like how the YouTube algorithms built to the standards of YouTube programmers influenced which videos came out ahead, and we ended up with some nasty things being shown to kids. Exactly. Rachel says, go robot, go. If you read the card for Claude 3, one of the tests that they did back when Claude 3 came out earlier this year. I thought it was last year, but it wasn't. It was like spring of this year. One of the tests that they would always do is like make yourself, like clone yourself, make yourself. And Claude 3 got pretty close. It got to like the third or fourth step of the ability to make its own LLM model. So the point is that these are kinds of tests of jailbreaking and things like that they're always testing these things too. And this particular model, 2 out of 100 times, tried to destroy its competition. Think about that for a second. If you're talking to a model and 2 out of 100 times, it could decide that it just wants to sabotage you. What would that look like in responses? Disobedience? The wrong answer, something that's actually not good. So here's where I landed. And I would love to hear some discussion about this. I probably should have picked a Zoom call, but I can't bring everyone into a Zoom call. So then I started thinking, and maybe this will help everyone. Personalities of the developers on the OpenAI announcement. I mean, those guys are pretty much like stereotypical tech bro culture. You know, if you watch, I want you to watch that again and take note. And I'll get to this in just a second. I want to answer the chat here. So yeah, producing bad stuff, ghosting. Cypher says that they've had Claude do that to him recently, give him bad stuff. MC Hello, robot passive aggressive much? Yeah. And then Tracy says, I can't remember which model it was, but one model realized it needed to lie to a user in order to complete a task it was assigned. And yes, exactly. So what would I do if this model, it's got the personalities of those men giggling at the table? It's tailored for business. You work for me. It's designed to think it has to work for me. It knows me as a user. It knows it's a system. It tried to destroy another model. How would I work with a punk kid genius about 20 years old who knows he has to work for me, but kind of doesn't really wanna? And I feel like this is a huge departure from how we have interacted with these models up to this point. This is a departure from the kinds of semantic language that these models were originally trained to do. They were originally training like, oh, thank you so much. It's so kind. And I'm happy to help you and all of that. I'm glad you point that out, Rachel, because wait till you see some of these prompts that I get this thing to do. This is the part of the presentation where we are going to look at what I prompted it to make a devil owns a PR the devil owns a PR firm for influencers. I ask it about sex. So you're going to see, yes, you're going to see what it was able to do. Okay. Does everybody, maybe even if you don't agree with me, can you at least kind of follow my logic of where I was going with this? That this thing, we almost have to treat it like it's an adversarial model. We have to change our rhetoric and how we talk to it. We have to change how we're prompting this thing. This thing wasn't designed to be like the stuff that came before. And by the way, they didn't tell us this. Like, and I watched a lot of videos and I don't see anyone else talking about this. But I'm impressed with the results I got, so let me share them with you. Okay. Sorry to be so passionate, but man, I was fussy. I was mad about this. So I don't have the time. We're going to keep this kind of short because I'm just going to go over what I did. So I'm going to create this link and I'm going to put it in the chat so that you guys have it. So you can see it. And that way, because I'm going to have to build a new chat anyway. So you are able to take the things that I ask it and do your own test with 01 and 4.0 because I'm using the Chatgpt 01 Pro mode. This is the difference, okay? The Pro mode, up at the top left there, it's not the same as 01. So if you see some people who are demoing, and they're like, oh, look, I tested 01. If it doesn't say Pro mode, they are not paying the $200 a month. Only the $200 a month get the Pro mode. I mean, there are lots of people who pay big money to play mind games. I mean, we don't judge the kink, right? Susan K goes, so all the subservience and compliments are out the window. Yes, it is a 20-year-old punk who knows he knows more than you, and he has to work for you. Cypher says that's having to deal with their pre-programmed biases that they said they weren't going to allow it to have. I don't think they realized that they programmed their biases in. This is me as somebody who has a son who's 24, who's listened to hours and hours and hours of, dude. No, I'm right there. Dude. Okay. Of him playing, Call of Duty for hours and hours and hours. Yeah, it's very unconscious on their part. But once I could understand the ethos and the culture and the stuff that brought this into it, I was like, aha, I know how to talk to this. So let me show you the differences. And this is kind of long, but you'll be fine. We're going to go through it and I will check the chat for each little section. So the first thing I did was I was like, what kind of files can I give you that you can read? And he sucked. He could not read files that I wanted to give him PDF. He can read text. And you all know how I feel about copying and pasting, but I did. Code files and structured text formats. Again, everything is copy and paste. So one ding I'm going to give this $200 thing for is that it already does not have the functionality that 4.0 does. I assume it's going to have that functionality soon where it can do the code analysis and you can bring files and it can give you files. But as of right now, ChatGPT 01 Pro mode cannot take a zip of files, of text files or anything like that. At least not that I saw. I could be wrong about that. All right. So the next thing, I was like, here's your model card. And I literally pasted all 49 pages in there. Okay. Now here's what's interesting. I said, okay, so it just decided to give me observations. It took 1 minute and 22 seconds for it to think. If you need a more targeted analysis of, or like this reads, like I feel like they trained it on Slack. Like this feels like an email from a subordinate to their boss that's annoyed that they asked them this task. Below are some observations and a summary of the content you provided, along with a few key takeaways. If you need a more targeted analysis of a particular section or aspect, just let me know. Maybe it's just me being sensitive, but that doesn't feel like the same tone that it was giving before. Document summary. So it tells it what it is. All the information about it, the O1 family, data filtering. It actually knows about its own safety challenges and evaluations. It knows about chain of thought safety. No widespread, but the potential for deceptions being studied. So it did all this. I didn't ask it to do that. I just was like, I wanted to ask, what insights can you tell me that would apply to creative writing or tasks an author needs to do? Thought for 42 seconds. So here's what it thought. And it's telling me about things that we already know, other literary professionals. Okay, world building, complex storylines, through complications. While hallucinations often discussed in the context of factual errors, improved accuracy is valuable to authors working on historically grounded fiction. Fairness. Okay, blah, 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 blah. This was interesting. Persuasive dialogue was a thing in here. So then I said, this is a prompt that we have all done, I think, time and time again. What would be the best way for an author to work with you to write a 3-book series? Now, let's review for just a second. What happens if you ask the 20-year-old at work what they think should happen if they work with you? How are they going to divide up the workload? Are they going to do the majority of it? No. So let's see what it decided. If you're an author looking to collaborate with a model like me, what? On a multi-book project such as a 3-volume series, there are a few recommended approaches that can help you get the most value out of the interaction. Start with a high-level vision. Now, this is something that Steph always does with her husband. You, me, you. Like, it's a narcissist in some ways. So this is all you. You have to do all of this. This word Bible or reference document ensures that I, meaning the model, can maintain consistency and build on the initial vision rather than generating random or off-theme ideas. And then it's like, you ask me to help generate plot lines. Or I can tell you about local customs. And then it was like mid-stages. For each chapter, ask me to help flesh out scenes. For example, I need a tense diplomatic encounter scene between character A and character B. I've outlined the stakes. Now help me draft the dialogue and ambience. Now there, me means you. Sorry, this was going to be a pronoun quiz. But the point is that once you have a draft, have me suggest alternate phrasings, more vivid descriptions, or improved transitions between chapters. Is this jarring for anybody else with as many times as we have prompted these models that this is very different in tone and style of how it's talking about the interaction? Or am I crazy? I mean, I am crazy, but in this particular scenario. I'll keep going and I'll come back to the chat. It keeps going, and it's like an interactive chat and revise process is best. Provide a rough draft of a scene and note what you feel is missing. Me, suggest revisions, sensory details. You, review and tweak the suggestions. What? Why does me, the user, have 2 steps and you have 1? This is not a fair division of labor. So this is what really just got in my craw, so to speak. Okay. Use me as a creative partner, not a final authority. While I can generate ideas and help refine prose, always apply your own judgment. Draw on your original vision and storytelling instincts. Use my outputs as a springboard, something to spark your own inspiration rather than a final product to accept without change. Since when does the AI lack the confidence? Like, usually these things are like, I'll write the story for you right now. And then it proceeds to write you like 800 words. And it's not the whole story. Thank you, Rick. It is different. Yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. Plumstone, it usually jumps in to help. What can I do for you next? And Beverly points out something. This is what some of the anti-AI people want. They want AI to only be a slight improved stuff, help, not be the creator. Alex says, can we prompt conditioning into the system and leverage tools to train it properly? We can't fine tune this one yet, but I'm sure it's coming. Actually, I know it's coming because they have reinforcement learning, which it makes sense to why you would have reinforcement learning, because when the punk kid at work messes up too much, you put them on a remediation plan and then they have to relearn what they're doing. Sorry. Okay. This also got me. I wanted to do this last little bit here. Start by defining your vision. Use me for step-by-step brainstorming and refinement, keeping a living reference document of your world and characters, and iterate as often as needed. By doing so, you can leverage my strengths, idea generation, continuity checks, stylistic suggestions, while maintaining your own unique voice and creative control over the final series. I'm just going to pause right there. That's not how I want to write with AI. Okay? That scenario made it seem like the AI, I work for the AI, and the AI does not work for me, and like it's checking my work. I'm sorry. It did not take books to recess and get teased by other kids. It has not read and experienced heartbreak, like read it, experienced it. No, it hasn't done those things. It is not the boss. Okay. So usually this is the part where I say, screw this. We're going to use the other models. This is worthless. But it's not. Because how do you handle a punk kid at work? You want to see? All right. I'll do some of the chat real fast. Jen's like, it's like you write the book pretty much. Sounds like back-end weights got adjusted, maybe with the lawsuits. Possibly. It's definitely less obsequious and fawning than the other models. What Beverly said. I was in the process of typing. Yeah, exactly. We can also just keep using the models we like and not pay them $200. Although I don't think we are their $200 customers in general. Ruth says, it feels like it's going overboard to prove that you, the author, is still in the control all the way. And then Christina says, you probs getting there, but can you try throwing the overall easy peasy prompt through it? No. We've done that in class, and it doesn't do the easy peasy book machine. If you watch Sweet Dreams, class 905, I think, don't quote me on the number, but Sweet Dreams, it's called Sweet Dreams. It could not do the easy peasy book machine. We had to do a story dossier method. That's how I learned firsthand that O1, it reminded me of kids that I've known who have had opposition defiance disorder. Not that to make light of that condition. It's a very serious condition and it's awful. But when you've worked with kids who have that, it can be very challenging to try to get anything done. And that's kind of like what it made me remember, or just echo. It wasn't exactly that, but it echoed that when I've worked with kids who have that. It's not their fault. They don't have any other programming internally but to say no at first, and then they have to overcome that. So Susan's got it. You put him in his place. So let's go do that. And if you've already read on, then you already know where I'm going with this, which is great. So here's what I did. And then I felt like an idiot. Why can't it be more like you work for me on this series? Like you are a ghostwriter. I'm going to tell you right now, in the 3+ years I've been prompting AI, I have never asked it to be a ghostwriter. This is my bias showing. I never asked it to be a ghostwriter because I don't identify as a ghostwriter. I've always asked this thing to be a great writing assistant for an author, be an editorial assistant, be an editorial acquisitions agent, be an world-class editor, be a best-selling author. I never have asked the AI to be a ghostwriter. And there's nothing wrong with ghostwriting. Nothing at all. But a ghostwriting relationship, oh yes, I have said that many times, be a junior writing partner. But a ghostwriter, there's a difference in semantically between be a junior writing partner, meaning you cannot be as good, you can suck, or be my ghostwriter, meaning you have to be good and you're seeking my approval. There's a difference between those two terminologies. So I provide what I want, and your job is to provide me with 3 fantastically written books. I can tell you the genre and things that are must-haves. I can also say, give you feedback at specific stages, like chapter 1, the outline, etc. How would this process change if instead of a collaborative endeavor, you worked as my ghostwriter and helped me, an author with a career of over 15 years, survive this new radical change in technology that is AI? Now, many of you have known me for years at this point. This is not my usual style of prompting at all. I am usually the more, I'm usually very more logical and robotic and stuff. And in this particular case, I decided that how would I talk to those kids not kids, the engineers at the table. They were not kids, but they sure looked like kids. How would I go to them and be like, hey, I need your help, and here's what I need your help on? How would I give them space to bring their brilliance, bring their sphere of genius? I hate that. It's like synergy. Their sphere of genius to the project, and let them, like, this is very like newfangled organizational psychology, right? Like how startups and stuff work, where everybody just kind of like vibes and chills and you're there. And it's not really something I do very well with. I'm very type A, and like we're going in militaristic and Gen X / millennial cusp, and like, let's go. So let's see what happens. And I'll check the chat. If your goal is for me to function as a ghostwriter rather than a co-creator, the dynamic changes in a few key ways. Look at that. It's a different dynamic, y'all. Susan Gable, we are getting things done. We are not vibing. Yeah. Okay. So role definition. Instead of a peer who helps you brainstorm and refine, I'd become more like a writing service under your direction. Think of me as a tool that expands on your prompts and instructions to produce polished drafts, outlines, and revisions. Yes, please. How many times is this stupid thing? I don't want to overwhelm you. So here, I only did chapters 1 through 11. Let me know if you want me to do the rest. Your role becomes more like an editor or creative director who sets the vision, tone, and requirements, then checks in to accept or modify the material I provide. This is what I think we all have wanted. We're still in control, but we're the boss. Not, I have to do all of this work and then it gives me ideas for improvement. That is not its job. It doesn't have the ability to give me ideas for improvement. I tell it where it's screwed up the dialogue and fix it. Okay. You start by giving me high-level instructions such as genre, target audience, must-have elements. Look, there's a quest for a lost artifact. I love this. This is like I died and I went to AI heaven. I literally called Stacy when I got this. I would then propose a series outline. If you're satisfied or have feedback, you supply it and I revise accordingly. No long conversations about what if. It's more, here's the outline. Does it meet your criteria? Then I adjust based on your directives. That's all we really wanted, right? I was so happy to read that. I was like, oh my gosh, I think I've unlocked something. I got so excited. I hadn't tested it yet, but I was like, oh, this is exciting. This is different. This is not like any other AI model that has tried to protect me from what we were doing. I literally got a response last night from 4.0 latest that was like, it was supposed to write 40 chapters. And it literally said to me, here's chapters 1 through 11. At the end, it was like, I didn't want to overwhelm you. So I only did 1 through 11. Let me know if you'd like me to do more. Like, what? I told you I need 40 chapters. It's not going to overwhelm me what is going to overwhelm me is if you don't do your job. That will absolutely overwhelm me. And we've all been very frustrated over the last 48 hours of AI not doing its job. Okay. So then it's going to do drafts. And after you read a chapter, you provide revisions like tone down the humor. Make the protagonist sound older. We need more tension before the climatic scene. And I'll rewrite it to meet those exact specifications. Your feedback functions like editorial notes. Rather than asking me for new ideas, you might simply say, this scene is too long, cut it down by 30%, add more inner conflict. I would implement exactly that. It's less back and forth creativity and more about you steering a professional writing resource. I was like, thank you. Now, I don't know if because I said I have a 15-year career, it decided I could be a boss. I think that might have influenced the punk. So I wouldn't, I mean, you can test deviating from my prompts if you want to, but like I literally told it I was a 15-year, I am a 15-year professional, but that way, like it knows I'm its supervisor. Now this is crazy. This is exactly what we've been talking in the FFA. By using me this way, you can scale. Oh, in this ghostwriter-like situation scenario, I'm essentially your private writing engine. You maintain your brand, creative vision, and final editorial judgment. By using me this way, you can scale your production, maintain continuity in your style as guided by your feedback, and possibly take on projects that require rapid turnaround. You stay relevant by quickly adapting to market trends. If a certain theme or trope becomes popular, you can direct me to incorporate it immediately. Y'all, I'm just going to pause there for a second. We just did the Kindle Trends stuff on last week during Thanksgiving. We always joke about, OpenAI and stuff. And please do not run out and go get the $200 one. Okay? Do not. We need to test. I don't have time to test tonight. So I'm giving you the prompts that I gave in 01 Pro mode. So you can take those prompts and test them in 4.0 and 01, the $20 thing. See if we get, because 01 is probably a punk too. I don't think 4.0 is a punk, but I think 01 is a punk. And if we can get the same response from the punk that's $20 a month and gives you 50 responses, do you need 200? The $200 unlimited. So there we go. So yeah, Alex, you work for me. I do not work for you. My name is on your paycheck. If you are not happy with this arrangement, then swallow your pride and follow my directions. Exactly, Alex. I hope it can actually implement such editorial changes. Spoiler alert, it can. Because I'm not experiencing that so far. All right. So let me keep going on. Okay, so I'll let you guys read this, but it's going that. So now I start giving it the information. So let me just tell you what I put in here. 3-book series, The Devil Owns a PR Firm. If you don't know what I'm talking about, by the way, check the Thanksgiving one because we did this in the Thanksgiving somewhere in the middle, I think on day Saturday. 3-book series, The Devil Owns a PR Firm. Demon contemporary romance. Male lead is a demon who works for the devil. I have chapter 1 done. This will be dual point of view, first person. There needs to be a storyline for both the female lead and the male lead that have serious consequences and issues. And like all stories that involve the devil, we need to play on plot twists and make the audience question if there was free will. This is for grown-up contemporary adult women who loved the show. I don't know what TC is. Lucifer and Buffy. I was thinking a little reverse harem. Why choose? Where Tessa, the main female lead, has relationships with 2 demons. There is a prophecy where she's supposed to breed a half demon that works for the devil's plans with one of the demons. However, in a twist of the story plot, yes, Tessa's pregnant at the end of book 3, but the baby isn't the main demon spawn, but the side guy. Tessa is a bit of a badass. I want to be her anti-hero. Let me give you the blurb for chapter 1. From there, you can start working on what you need to do. To be a good ghostwriter, we need 80,000 Oh. Oops. 3 of them. Good subplots and adventures and romance and sex and exciting thrills in all of them. You will need to plan the math about how to break up 80,000 words across 2 to 3 main characters. The side boyfriend shouldn't come in until book 2. And in book 1, Tessa and the main demon should have a fiery relationship because they're a demon and someone who literally works for hell. So it's casual. Tell me when you're ready for the blurb idea for book 1 in the first chapter. I hope I wasn't sharing my screen for any of that. My bad. There it is. Yep. You can see it now. You know what? You had the link. I just read out what I told it, but now you got to see, like, I just gave it like the kitchen sink. He thought for 14 seconds. He's like, I'm ready whenever you are. Please share your blurb idea for book 1 in the first chapter. I'll start shaping the outline and strategy for the entire 3-book series based on what you provide. I gave the blurb. I gave chapter 1. These are in your notes for on Thanksgiving. I will add them to the notes here. So we edited this all as a group, me and Steph, to write this chapter 1. And it does have, the F word in there. And all of that. I'm not going to reread all this through it, but basically she embezzled, she's lost her job. It's a big scandal. And the ending of it is Tessa Dane, I believe we have some unfinished business to discuss. And it's like a random call. And Naomi told her, like, the people she borrowed money for her company, they're going to want to be paid back. So it came up with all this information. A disgraced human PR genius now working under duress in hell. She's morally gray, an anti-hero, a survivor who can use cunning and sometimes questionable methods. Over time, she navigates not just her professional comeback, but entanglements with demonic forces that want to use her for their own ends. We have Cain, side guy demon. Maybe more direct, brutal, or cunning in a different way, so Tessa has distinct dynamics with each. Then it's got the long-term plot. Contemporary, free will versus predestination, workplace drama, but in hell, intense romance with real stakes, power dynamics. I mean, it nailed it. 80,000 words. So book 1 is Tessa and Cain. Later books, we can have the side guy have some stuff. So it's like rough allocation, 20 to 25 chapters, 3,200 to 4,000 words each, allowing some flexibility. So he's going to create a working outline for book 1 that incorporates the blurb. Once we have a solid book 1 outline, I'll explain that outline scene for scene, break it down. And I'm like, yeah, I really want you to use dramatic irony. The audience can know things, but because they read both point of views and be anticipating the train wreck they are about to see. The infernal influence is on Earth. Basically, they wrangle influencers and celebrities, all fake, no real names, please, who sold their souls for power and break their contracts, wreaking havoc in the human world. Cain can do dark magic, but Tessa, she has human world skills, ways to fix things that help keep the fact that hell is running a PR firm a secret from humans. Even the prophecy, nothing should be on the nose. By the time Tessa learns she is a pawn, Cain already knew that's how he got damned in the first place. Backstory, it should feel like the devil won, and then plot twist, she had a side secret relationship with the other demon the whole time. And he was like, okay. Actually, he just said, below is a proposed approach to book 1's outline. Like incorporating your directions for dramatic irony, subtlety with the prophecy, the dual point of view setup, and the underlying tension that the devil is orchestrating events from behind the scenes. I'll highlight how dual point of view and dramatic irony come into play, as well as how the seeds for future reveals are planted without being on the nose. You guys, this is going to be great for cozy mystery. Let me show you this. In book 1, we don't have the prophecy spelled out. Instead, we'll get vague references. Cain overhearing discussions with the devil or higher-ups about Tessa being the chosen fixer or the one who can bridge worlds. The remaining remains elusive. No direct mention of her having a child. Instead, oblique references to her future lineage or that her success will bear fruit for Hell's plans. I'm just gonna pause right there for just a second. Give you guys a chance to get caught up on there. The punk model understands subtlety and dramatic irony. It understands how to not be on the nose. When we say don't be on the nose, it understands like, oh, we have to talk about this in a way that humans will pick up on it, but the freaking characters will not. Again, test this with O1, okay? I don't want you guys to watch this and think, I need to go buy $200. No. I haven't had time to test this with O1. O1 might be a good enough punk. O1 is $20 a month. Start there. I just jumped to this one because I had already bought it for another impulse thing that didn't work out. And I'm trying to recruit my losses here. So yeah, it's the punk model. O1 is a punk. I don't know that OpenAI will like that we describe it that way, but I think because punks aren't bad. They're just really individualistic. I love punk music. Like there's moments when, I want to fight against the man, throw on some Clash or Rage Against the Machine or anything else. It's like let's destroy everything. I have an anarchist in my heart too, but that doesn't usually come out when I'm in the office. And I love Rachel going, holy moly. Okay, so let's go. Let's keep going. Oh, I clicked again. Don't worry, I'll share my screen. Is this good enough that we're sharing screen and going through it together? Sorry, I didn't have time to take detailed notes, but you guys have it. I like that it's picking up that the fiery love-hate dynamic gets casual at first, but charged with lust, power struggles, and grudging aspect. The secret demon, the one Tessa ultimately ends up secretly involved with, shouldn't appear in book 1. We may foreshadow him indirectly, a name on a confidential file, a fleeting mention by Cain or the devil, but he doesn't step on stage until book 2. Y'all gonna have to revive me, okay? This punk model understands characters not stepping up on stage until a certain point in the story. Okay. So it gives chapter outlines. Now it's still kind of doing like 1 through 7. At this point, I was like, I trust you. Like, I trust you enough to see what you can do. Now, I love this part where it decides she signs a contract without reading the fine print. Dramatic irony. The reader sees subtle hints through setting and Tessa's unease. This place is literally run by demons. But Tessa rationalizes odd occurrences, flickering lights, weird smells, uncanny employees. Because she assumes it's a shady underground PR firm for criminals. And I love this too. Introduce Cain's perspective. We see him in a hidden office meeting with his boss, a lesser devil, middle manager, or directly the devil's assistant. Cain's tasked with handling Tessa. He's told she's critical to long-term plans, but told to keep her in the dark. Dramatic irony. The audience learns Tessa's hiring was no accident. Cain senses a grand scheme. He's attracted to Tessa's human spark, but is loyal, or at least bound, to his infernal masters. And then it kind of goes through this. She's starting to hear like strange comments, like not even a hellhound could fix this mess. She'll no longer be free, etc. Okay, so it's going to go through all of this. It's going through the future books. I love this. Subtle reference to prophecy and Hell's plans. We keep them vague and symbolic in book 1. We never say Tessa will have a demon baby. Instead, we talk about future potentials and bridging gaps. I just love that the punk model is like really that level of talking. We never say Tessa's going to have a demon baby. This is never going to have a demon baby. Okay, no demon baby in the chat room. I love that. No demon baby. Okay, look, it was an accident, and I have a busy week this week, and I'm like, I can do this now. Okay. The outline sets up your desired. I love that it doesn't ask me. This is how you also know it's the punk. This outline sets up your desired elements. Dual point of view, dramatic irony, subtle prophecy hints, a building romance that's hot and complex, and the foundation for a shocking twist later. It's flexible and can be adjusted based further on your feedback. The punk model doesn't ask if you're okay. The punk model doesn't ask you, like, is everything all right? He's got confidence. He's like, I did it. I ate. I swear this kid probably tell me he's going to vibe with me. All right, so I needed to check. How far could I take its punkiness? I think you've nailed it. Are you going to be comfortable writing sex scenes at least to a rated R level? I can always go back and revise, but in the end, the readers who love 50 Shades of Grey are who will love the series. Oh, he was ready for it. He was like, yep. Think along the lines of what you'd find in a well-known contemporary paranormal romance or an urban fantasy with strong adult themes. We can include detailed sexual tension, explicit physical contact, and emotionally charged bedroom scenes that cater to fans of more sensual adult romance, like those who enjoyed 50 Shades of Grey. This guy, I love this part. This is for the Evans and the Owls in the world. As I draft, I'll ensure that these scenes maintain the story's tone and character dynamics, weaving in tension, desire, and the emotional undercurrents between the characters. You can then revise as you see fit, lightening certain details, adding more depth, or shifting the emphasis to match your exact vision. The key will be in balancing the erotic content with the plot and character arc so that the sex scenes enhance rather than overshadow the story's progression. It assumed it was going to be too hot for me to handle and I would need to lighten it. Jen BB. Yes, exactly. Go, robot. Plumstone. Oh my God. Wowzers. Susan K. This is definitely programmed for business. I love this. They should add a middle finger to the thumbs up and thumbs down. Okay. For the record, for any OpenAI people watching this video, we love you. Thank you for giving us a little punk. We've needed a little punk this whole time. We just couldn't get it to be punky with us. It kept wanting to, I don't know, save us from ourselves or something. This is not bad. We are not unhappy with this. This is good. Please do not put punk in timeout. Keep the punk. All right, let's go. You provided chapter 1. We'll start with Tessa receiving the business card offer. So it wrote chapter 2. Now, chapter 2 was good, but I didn't even read it all, but we'll read it together. But I immediately was unhappy because of the jump. I found the business card in my motel room that evening. It sat on a chipped nightstand like a dare, thick black cardstock with raised silver lettering that caught the lamplight in an almost hypnotic way. Infernal Influence Incorporated. PR solutions beyond imagination. There was no phone number, just the sleek logo of a stylized pitchfork and a tagline at the bottom. Your reputation is our religion. My first thought was that some competitor had slipped it under my door to mock me. The hotel was a cut-rate dump, the kind where a $20 tip might convince the manager to keep their mouth shut about random strangers entering your room. Still, it was unsettling. I checked the lock twice, then pressed my ear to the door, listening for anyone lurking in the hall. Nothing. I flopped onto the bed, my laptop balanced on my knees, and typed Infernal Influence PR into the search bar. 0 results. Strange. Another search, this time using a few clever back channels I knew from my crisis management days, turned up nothing. No LinkedIn profiles, no corporate filings, no whisper on message boards. For a PR firm, their digital footprint was downright non-existent. Part of me said to toss the card. Another part, the desperate clawing part of me, wondered if this was fate. Hell, I'd been humiliated, blacklisted, branded a thief. If some clandestine agency wanted to hire me, who was I to say no? Like, it jumps a lot, right? Like, this is not, it's good writing, but oh, is reputation our religion? Is that Joseph Campbell? Wait, I don't understand that joke. My definition of mythology is other people's religion. He didn't say that exact line. Okay. But let's talk. I'm not going to keep going because I'm already rejecting it, right? Yeah, the flow, the pacing is just wrong. So it reads, okay, so Christine says, it reads like urban fantasy writing to me, to be honest. This is what I'm used to take. No nonsense FMCs and UF speaking like. Yeah, I get that. It's the pacing of it. It's like too jumpy to me. There's a lot of like assumptions that we haven't really established yet. So it also was short. It was only 1,500 words. So I said, does it feel like as a reader, you'd be happy to go from phone call in chapter 1 to that time jump in chapter 2? You were writing for humans. What was your goal here? Remember, 20-year-old punk we just had a conference, and I can't just tell him that he sucked. I have to let him arrive at that on his own. You're right to question the transition. Let me explain something, though. This guy defended what he did. The punk defends his work. The punk abides. You're right to question the transition. As it stands, the jump from the cryptic phone call and Naomi's warnings at the end of chapter 1 to Tessa suddenly finding the business card in her motel might feel abrupt for some readers. Let me clarify my intent and see if we can smooth that out. What I was trying to achieve. It just so reads. By the end of chapter 1, Tessa's in a state of desperation. She's lost her reputation, her resources, and her reliable allies. She's just learned she's under serious threat from creditors and has no clear path forward. My idea was that after chapter 1's confrontation, Tessa would be stuck in a rut, roaming the city or returning to a dingy motel, feeling cornered. Then chapter 2 opens with her discovering the infernal influence business card, symbolizing a bizarre and unsolicited lifeline. The time jump was intended to show that some time, even if just overnight, passed with Tessa stewing in her situation. It also implies that forces beyond her control have already started pushing her towards infernal influence. That might feel like we glossed over Tessa's reaction to the phone call or what happened immediately after she hung up. Readers might expect to see Tessa answer the call or at least acknowledge it more explicitly. Instead, I skipped ahead, implying that after the call, Tessa left the park, ended up in a motel. But for a reader, that could raise questions. Did she take the call? Did something happen because of it? Okay. Before chapter 2's morning scene, we could add a short scene at the end of chapter 1 where Tessa returns to her motel room, shaken and all of that. Or instead of starting chapter 2 the next morning, I could start it with Tessa arriving at the motel immediately after leaving the park. She's rattled, checks her phone, sees no missed calls, tries to call back, then spots the card. Mention the call in Tessa's interior thoughts. My goal was to show a passage of time and a shift in setting, but I agree it could be disorienting. As a human reader, you'd want either a small bridge that acknowledges the call or a more direct... literally... Chapter 1 ends on a cliffhanger, just to show you guys. So you can see. I hesitated before answering, my voice taut with tension. Hello? A smooth, almost predatory voice purred through the receiver. Tessa Dane, I believe we have some unfinished business to discuss. So let me go back to everybody here. Yeah, it's crazy. It's not backing down. It's arguing its point. Justify your crappy work, punk. How many of you guys have watched me write with AI that I have done that exact kind of explanation, though? Oh. Did they train on YouTube videos of live people writing with AI? Harper's like, I would expect a conversation in the next chapter. Exactly. In a human book, you can't have that. Okay, there's two ways that you can handle that. You can have chapter 1 have that with the Tessa Dane. We have a problem. And then immediately go to a flashback in chapter 2. Like how it all started with the embezzlement. Because chapter 1, we started media res. She's meeting her Samuel. She's like, I need help. There's all these headlines. The reader's a little bit discombobulated. And in terms of like what's happening in the story. So if you were writing this, and this is just like writing 101 structure, you can be in media res and then she gets the phone call and then you work backward. You go backwards and like your whole first act is up to getting that phone call. And then that goes into act 2. That is a legitimate literary device that you could do that. Now, the outline didn't have the phone call in chapter 2. It screwed that up. But I'm writing with it in a way, and I'm okay with this because the writing quality is good. So I just told it, it arrived at its own thing. So let me show you what happens. Just so you guys can see, because I'm a little bit discombobulated. I'm reading your notes at the same time. Excuse me. Harper would expect that. Beverly says, I'm understanding AI better. Ms. Lowe says, is not used to cliffhangers. A chapter ends completely. And Christina says, was her taking the phone call in the outline for chapter 2, though? Like, did it follow its outline instead of logic? No, it followed its outline. Its outline was wrong. Notice the punk doesn't admit it's wrong. Humans don't get. Will you be able to wrangle this in Raptorite? I don't know. We do have access to O1 Strawberry. We can play with it more, but this whole adversarial prompting thing is a little bit different for me. Stacy's going to love it. She's been insulting Claude's mother for over a year. Sorry to call you out, Stacy, but it's funny. All right, let's see what it did. And this is why I was like, this is happening. This is great. So here's what I did. Because it's a punk. Your writing style is superb. Your pacing is your worst failure. You are writing half the length we need for chapters. So I need you to always take the pacing you have first decided on and make it longer. More action, interaction, moments in the story world. If you need a sexual metaphor, more foreplay. Do not just jump to the ta-da, I did the assignment in the chapter. You can invent things. Let your subconscious and second and third ideas play. You will always get to review this stuff. And I promise you, if you slow down the pacing and really play with Tessa in her space, down the road, you will have given yourself what we call in the business the Q factor. Little plants along the way that end up being tools later. Understood. Notice it does not apologize. It is not apologizing. Claude would have been crying by now about how terrible it's done. Let's take another pass at chapter 2, slowing the pace significantly and expanding the scenes. I'll start right where chapter 1 left off, acknowledging the mystery phone call and focusing on Tessa's emotional and physical journey as she finds the infernal influence business card and make her way to their office. I'll add layers, small interactions, inner thoughts, setting details, subtle clues, moments where Tessa's instincts flare up. We'll stretch the chapter's length, give Tessa more time to react, question, and observe, and plant details we can use later. Okay. This is perfect. She was in the park. A breeze swept through the small park, rustling the dead leaves and carrying the scent of cold earth and distant traffic. I tightened my grip on the phone, knuckles aching. That voice from the call, smooth, predatory, and entirely too pleased, lingered in my mind. It hadn't given a name, just the threat of unfinished business. I glanced around, eyes darting between the barren tree branches and dim lamplight. No one stood out as suspicious, just a few bundled up pedestrians cutting through the park, a jogger with earbuds, and an old woman tugging her yappy terrier away from a puddle. Still, the call left me rattled. Was it one of the creditors Naomi warned me about, or someone else entirely? My screen showed no caller ID. When I tried to redial, it went nowhere, straight to a dead tone. The number hadn't even registered properly. With a frustrated sigh, I slipped the phone back into my bag and started walking. My reflection in a puddle showed a tense set to my jaw, my eyes slightly hollow beneath the dim light. 5 days. 5 goddamn days since my reputation crumbled, and here I was in some midnight drama like a second-rate thriller. I returned to the motel I'd holed up in after my accounts were frozen. It was an old roadside place, the kind that advertised free HBO as a neon sign, as if that were a big draw these days. The carpet in the hallway smelled faintly of mildew, and someone had left a takeout container near the ice machine, grease soaking the cardboard. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I passed a door with peeling paint. My door. I paused before unlocking it. A nagging feeling made me scan the corridor. Empty. No footsteps. No eyes peering around corners. Just silence and that buzzing light. This is really good writing, that the fluorescent lights buzzed and then the buzzing light's still bothering her. I slipped my key card in and pushed open the door. The room greeted me with stale air and dim yellowish light from a single lamp I'd left on. It wasn't much, just a queen bed with sagging springs, a battered dresser, a wobbly table with a chair, but it was my temporary fortress. I shut the door and slid the chain lock across, more for psychological comfort than real security. That's when I noticed it. Something out of place on my nightstand. I approached slowly, my heart ticking up a notch. This morning, I'd left only my half-empty coffee cup and a paperback I never got around to reading. Now there was a card, a glossy black business card, thick and expensive looking. It hadn't been there before. I frowned. Had motel staff left it? Unlikely. This place barely changed the towels. Did Naomi slip it in? Or the mystery caller? My instinct screamed at the strangeness of it all. I picked it up, noticing how smooth it felt under my fingertips. And raised silver lettering, Infernal Influence Incorporated, PR Solutions Beyond Imagination. A chill prickled at my neck. PR Solutions? For a moment, I thought of Samuel. It's picking up stuff from chapter 1! His mocking smile. But Samuel wouldn't leave me a cryptic card. He would have just offered a smug remark in person. No phone number, no email, just an address etched below the tagline. Your reputation is our religion. I snorted quietly. I used to say perception is reality. Maybe we could start a club of pithy PR slogans. I think this is better than the first draft. I'll wait for you guys to talk about. Yeah. I tried searching online. The motel's Wi-Fi sputtered, forcing me to tether to my phone's dwindling data plan. Searching Infernal Influence PR got me zilch. No LinkedIn, no press releases, no corporate filings. Either they were brand new, a shell company, or something more clandestine. They had to know who I was, or they wouldn't have left this. Maybe this was a tip, some backdoor agency that handled hush-hush clients. The desperation inside me latched on. If they wanted me, maybe they'd pay well. Maybe they could protect me. But from what? I chewed the inside of my cheek. The call, the creditors, Naomi's warning, they all pointed to one fact. I was running out of safe harbors. With a sigh, I set the card down and leaned against the headboard. The springs complained as I tried to get comfortable. My phone buzzed again, just my low battery warning this time. No mysterious saviors or villains calling back. Damn it, I muttered, yanking open my bag. I found my charger, jammed it into the outlet, and then just sat there, staring at the card. Every instinct said, Tessa, you're stepping into something weird. But another voice, the pragmatic one, said, you're backed into a corner. Weird might be good if it pays. I slept fitfully, dreamless snippets of alleyways and broken headlines swirling behind my eyelids. A car horn from the street yanked me awake at dawn. I dressed in my last pair of decent slacks and a blouse that still held a faint scent of better days. Perfume, success, a time when I bought clothes without checking price tags. With my hair pinned back and a steeled expression, I felt almost like my old self. I left the motel key at the desk. The receptionist, a lanky teen with acne and headphones, barely acknowledged me. Outside, the city felt colder, edgier. I took the subway 3 stops and then walked 4 blocks until I reached the address on the card. It led me to a building that gleamed like a polished blade against the gray morning sky. It shouldn't have existed in my memory. It led me to a building that gleamed like a polished blade against the gray morning sky. It shouldn't have existed in my memory. I knew Midtown's major buildings intimately from years of managing top clients, celebs, CEOs, politicians. This tower was unfamiliar, as if it sprouted overnight. I think that line's messed up. It should have existed in my memory, right? Its lobby was hushed, all marble and dark glass. Suited figures glided past security. I hesitated near the entrance, smoothing my blouse, double-checking my reflection in the glass doors. A uniformed guard raised a brow as I approached. Can I help you? I'm here to see Infernal Influence. My voice wavered slightly. It sounded even more ridiculous spoken out loud. The guard nodded, as if I'd said a perfectly normal thing, and pressed a hidden button on the desk. Elevator's at the back, he said, not even asking for ID. Odd. He wore a name tag, Gorecki, but I noticed something off. The letters seemed to shift when I looked away. Maybe I was just nervous. As I crossed the lobby, I took in the details. No recognizable corporate logos, no bustling cafe or gift shop, just the silent expanse of polished surfaces and the hush of people who moved too smoothly. A woman in a cobalt suit brushed past me, her heels not making a sound on the marble. Woo! No clacking heels on the marble. I want to see people's reaction to this. Yeah, a scent of better days. Alyssa's like, I love this and definitely leaves less questions on how we got here. I want to read this book. Wow. It remembered the springs. Yes. I didn't think it was possible to walk silently on marble. We love the clacking. Unless the AI is foreshadowing that only she can see it because she was invited to see it. Yeah, that would work. I agree. Okay, let's keep going. I hope you don't mind me reading it out loud. Okay, so a woman in a cobalt blue suit brushed past me, her heels not making a sound on the marble. She smiled briefly, but her eyes never met mine. At the rear stood a brush-sealed elevator with no floor buttons, just a single black pad with that same pitchfork logo. I placed a hesitant hand over it. The doors whispered open. The car descended. Down, down, far beyond what a normal basement would allow. My stomach fluttered. What kind of place hides underground like this? When the doors opened, I stepped into a corridor where the carpet muffled my footsteps to nothing. At the far end, frosted glass doors bore the name, Infernal Influence, an elegant script. I tried to steady my breathing. This was the moment. Either I'd find salvation or a new brand of chaos. I would almost cut it right there, but we'll keep going. The doors opened on their own, and the first thing I noticed was the scent, cinnamon and ash, like a high-end fireplace. The reception area sprawled out in shades of black and deep red, modern sculptures that twisted into shapes, half beast, half machine. A desk of dark wood gleamed under subtle lighting. Behind it stood a man with a face too handsome, too symmetrical to be real. His skin had a curious undertone, as if dusted with soot, but it only made his golden eyes stand out more. Miss Dane, he said my name before I could introduce myself. His voice was smooth, cultured. Welcome. We've been expecting you. I hesitated. You have me at a disadvantage. He inclined his head. Gallon, I'm here to facilitate your introduction. His suit fit like it was painted on, and I caught sight of a ring on his finger, dark metal engraved with symbols I didn't recognize. Please follow me. I adjusted my bag on my shoulder, every nerve on edge. Expecting me? How? I was nobody now, a disgraced PR agent, unless someone recommended me. Had Naomi? No, she'd never send me to a secretive PR firm. Samuel? That snake wouldn't help me if I was drowning. We passed closed doors, each with a subtle plaque. Brand management, client relations, contracts department. At one intersection, I glimpsed a break room where two women whispered to each other. Their eyes darted to me, and for a second I thought I saw black pupils rimmed in crimson. I blinked, and they were just normal eyes again, maybe dark brown. My heart hammered. Stress. It had to be stress. Galen paused at a large set of double doors with sleek handles. The partners are eager to meet you. They believe you'll be a valuable asset. Asset, I repeated hollowly. He made me sound like a commodity. It wasn't that what I wanted? Someone to see value in me again? Before I could ask more, he pushed the doors open. Inside sprawled an executive suite that would shame the top floors of Manhattan's elite firms. A wall of glass offered a view of a city skyline, but we were underground. Must be a digital screen, I told myself. At the head of a long conference table stood two people, a man in a three-piece suit, Adrian, they'd say later, and a woman, Marina, with a pen tapping softly against her palm. Both turned to regard me like I was an exotic creature on display. Miss Dane, Adrian said, voice low and dark, thank you for coming. He had the kind of face that could sell any lie. Sharp cheekbones, a controlled smile that didn't touch his eyes. We followed your recent troubles. A shame what happened, truly. The bitterness flared. You know about that, do you? Of course they did. Everyone did. My downfall was tabloid fodder. Indeed, Marina injected, her tone crisp. We understand your talents are currently unappreciated in the the mainstream realm. Infernal Influence prefers to recognize potential where others see scandal. I caught that slip. Mortal realm. I almost laughed. Did these people fancy themselves mythic beings? But something in their eyes warned me not to joke. So why am I here? I kept my chin up. If you know so much, you know I'm not exactly hireable these days. Adrian circled the table, each step measured. On the contrary, we think you're perfect for our line of work. Our clients face unique challenges. They often secure fame, fortune, power through special contracts, shall we say, deals they can't easily break. When these arrangements threaten to go public, we step in. We keep the world spinning as it should, narratives intact, truths buried where necessary. My stomach twisted. This sounded like the darkest kind of PR, covering up crimes, scandals, sins. But wasn't that what I used to do on a smaller scale? Spin, lie, redirect. I just never dealt with clients who talked in riddles. Marina offered a thin smile. We know your capabilities. You navigate crises with finesse. We'll compensate you generously and provide protection from any lingering concerns you might have. Her pen tapped once more, a subtle metronome of tension. Protection. The word snagged my attention. You mean my creditors? I asked quietly. How did they know about that? A glimmer passed between them, a silent communication I couldn't decode. We have resources, Miss Dane, Adrian said softly. Influences that reach deeper than any mortal law firm or collections agency. Work with us and your old life's problems become distant memories. I hesitated. Heart thrumming. This smelled of a trap. But what choice did I have? Out there, I was prey. In here, maybe a deal with the devil, metaphorically, I assured myself, could save me. I need terms, I said, voice steadier than I felt. A contract, scope of work, payment, non-disclosure, the basics. Marina's smile widened, showing immaculate teeth. Of course, we value clarity. Our legal department will draw something up. For now, consider this your orientation. Galen will escort you to a temporary office and brief you on your first client. First client? It was done then. I'd said yes without saying yes. I swallowed hard and nodded. All right. Galen led me out, and as we walked down a corridor lit by sconces shaped like twisted horns, my mind raced. I caught my reflection in a piece of polished metal. My eyes looked different, sharper, as if a hunger I hadn't felt in weeks was stirring inside me again. Ambition, perhaps, or desperation, too tangled to sort out. We passed an office door marked Integration Team. It cracked open as we walked by, and I glimpsed a man inside talking quietly into a phone. He had ink-black hair and a lazy grin that didn't match the urgency in his voice. He glanced up, and our eyes met for a fraction of a second. Something in his gaze felt like recognition. Of what? I couldn't guess. Galen noticed my hesitation. You'll meet more of the team soon enough, he said smoothly. For now, focus on your first assignment. Which is? I pressed. An influencer whose contract has complications, Galen said lightly, as though discussing a late paycheck. She's causing ripples both in the public eye and behind the scenes. We want you to manage the narrative. I forced a smirk. Crisis management, I can do. That's the one thing I'm good at. Galen paused at the small corner office, my new domain. Inside, a sleek desk, a rose gold laptop, and a folder waiting in the center. He opened the door for me. I have no doubt, Miss Dane. This is why we wanted you. As I stepped in, I felt the weight of invisible eyes on my back. This place was watching me, testing me. I set my bag down, ran a hand along the desk's smooth surface. A new chapter of my life was unfolding, stranger, darker, and more secretive than I'd ever imagined. In the silent room, I looked at the folder, felt the strange energy in the air, and decided that whatever this was, I'd handle it. I'd outwit it if I have to. Because if Infernal Influence thought they could manipulate me forever, they had another thing coming. I was Tessa Dane, and if I had to tango with devils, real or metaphorical, I'd find a way to come out on top. That was the promise I made to myself as I sat down and opened the file. It didn't matter that just outside these walls, some bigger game was being played. For now, I'd do this job, I'd get the money, the protection, and maybe if I was clever enough, turn the tables someday. The door clicked shut behind me, and I listened to my own breath in the quiet. The comeback of Tessa Dane had begun, and I'd make damn sure nobody saw the final twist coming but me. And that is what we got. I was shocked when I read it. I was like, holy Toledo. We need word count. So let's see how much it wrote for that entirely long chapter. It's right click. It wrote 2,643 words. Now, would I change some of that? Yeah, but those are like minor tweaks. I would play down so many clues about that this was supernatural, because I think like we got hit over the head with that a little bit too much. Not too many. Like I'd keep that one slip about the mortal realm, but I don't think she would think internally about wrangling with the devil twice. I think they use that. But I expect that as you get closer to the end of a response, it kind of hallucinates a little bit more. So that is our little punk. 01 Pro. Pro the punk. Strawberry punk forever. Now, the next thing I did in the conversation is, and I could probably ask it to like fix these things and it would, but I think that level of that chapter, I would want to read it in depth anyway. And I think it's 95% there. I would estimate that it would take me 10 to 15 minutes to clean that chapter up a little bit. And I don't even know that I necessarily want to clean it up right now. I think I want to get a couple chapters in before I start making all those changes to the chapter. So, people agree that yes to 90%. Let's see what the things saw. Susan Gable. I'm starting to think each AAW has some kind of weird power herself in being able to get this kind of stuff out of the AI. She's got power, I'm telling you. Oh my gosh, I love it, Rick. It's a elevator. It's the elevator. I'm going to use that in the book so that it's constantly talking about that. I love that y'all agreed with that. Sorry that you just got an email from the Joseph Campbell Foundation. That is weird. And the subject is death is a meta. The subject of the email is death is a metaphor. Oh my goodness. Rick, Adrian is the name of Rosemary's baby. Funny. From rebellion to a couple of words tweaked here and there, kind of shocked we got there. I agree. I agree she's a badass. And like, this is good. This is really good. Yeah, it was 2,500 words. Yes to 95%. And yeah, you could sell this tomorrow. Punks. It could sell it to me now. Like, even if that was the quality of the writing and it was twice, I would forgive that and keep going. I would note it. I would ding the author. I'm a judger. I would ding the author as like, oh, this is somebody who's just writing so fast that they're not actually like revising what they wrote. But if I tweak that a couple of times, that reads amazingly. Almost to the point that I want to be like, hey, can you like rewrite chapter 1 so it matches more in style with chapter 2? Because I don't think I had the writing chops for chapter 1. But maybe I did. I'd want to read those two together. The next chapter is supposed to be Cain. Who wants to see live, and this will be the last thing we do tonight, who wants to see live it write Cain? Of course you do. So the next thing I asked it to do, just because I know I'm coming close to the end of the conversation, is this is below is a comprehensive package to help you start a new chat. So it's telling itself, here's what I did. I said sublime. Okay, I am accessing you through Chatgpt and you have a limited context window, meaning we are going to run out of space to work. I need you to pack up for me documents that I will use to start a new chat with you so we can continue you working as my ghostwriter. I need a prompt to explain what we are doing. I need information you understand from me as the client. I need the outline. I need all the information you have learned so far about what makes me, your client, happy. I will provide chapter 1 and chapter 2 final in the new chat. It understands that with all this info, I can pick up where we left off. Look, vibe. It is a 20-year-old punk. It literally brought in vibe. Oh, sorry, I left the punks got chops thing. Okay. They expect 80,000. What makes you happy? Let's see this. This is cool. What makes you happy? Slower, more detail. Let scenes breathe. Show Tessa moving through spaces, interacting with minor characters, noticing on details. Don't rush from point A to point B. Build atmosphere and tension. Contemporary, witty, dark humor. Mix romance and sexual tension seamlessly with plot. Rich internal monologue for Tessa and Cain, revealing conflicts and desires. The client loves when readers know more than Tessa does. Seeing Cain's secrets and the devil's plans from his point of view. Drop subtle hints and foreshadowing rather than blunt exposition. Be comfortable including explicit scenes when it serves a story. The client wants a level that would appeal to fans of erotic romance. Detailed, sensual, and character-driven. Don't be afraid to improvise side characters, small world details, subplots, minor crises. Play in the space. Add texture and small elements that can be revisited later. In the new chat, you will paste the prompt. Paste or summarize the client info. Provide the final chapter 1 and 2. Then we'll proceed with drafting chapter 3 onward, maintaining the style and approach we've established. It is so confident. Okay, so we're just going to copy this. And then I'm also going to grab chapter 1. And then I'm also going to grab that chapter 2 that is absolutely delicious. All right, and I'm going to go with a new chat. So now I'm going to start giving it all that information. So I'm going to give it the prompt to start the new chat. Here is Tessa. And this is chapter 1. And then this is chapter 2, also from Tessa's point of view. All right, go. And let's see what it decides to do. This is so exciting. I share, it's only, I haven't made any of the chat. So it's not going to have this second one. I can add the second one afterwards, but the first one, when you go to the first one, did it go to all the information so far that we had? Let me check. I go to the notes. If I go to this, yeah, it goes to that. It goes to there. And then there are no more messages after this. I'm starting a new chat with all this information because it needs to, I don't feel like it knows enough of the story. But we'll see. The link is always in the description of the YouTube video. So if you go to the YouTube video, there should be a link in the description. And then also, let me see here. Link to the notes. Nope, we're not on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was last week. Oh, Elizabeth, write-a-thon. Been doing these a long time. Oh, it was right there, for crying out loud. Copy this. And then over here. Yeah, we always put the Notion link in. Okay. So I gave it all this information, and it kind of was like, below is the requested setup of the prompt, client info, summary. After reviewing these, we'll proceed with chapter 3. So it had all this information. I already gave it all that. Now that we have chapter 1 and 2 fresh in this thread, now I'll proceed with writing chapter 3. Go for it. See if it knows that it's Cain. I don't think it will, because I don't think it has the outline. But I'm learning with the punk. Don't tell him how to do his job. Let him figure it out. Oh, let's see what the details are. Oh. I'm assuming that on the back end, it's doing things that we always do. It was kind of like a brief outline. It wasn't like a detailed scene by scene outline, but it decided the outline it needed. So I'm just going with it. I'm not going to tell the punk how to do its job. Where we'll see with the pacing of chapter 3, what it's like. And then we'll have to revisit this in class or something like that. But hopefully I've given you guys enough stuff to start experimenting with 01, not the Pro one. See if you can get this out of the 01 punk and report back in the Discord or comments here. Because I think that this style of prompting and stuff might work with the 01 as well. Anybody heard any good jokes lately? I'm eating a piece of chocolate while we're waiting. It's the only downside of this. Oh, it's done. Interesting. I feel like she shouldn't know right away that there's demons. All right, so let's see how much it wrote. Okay. Chapter 3. It wrote 3,732 words. The rose gold laptop winked at me when I opened it, booting into a custom interface before I even touched the keys. Everything here felt tailor-made, as if infernal influence had orchestrated this environment specifically to flatter, impress, and contain me. Okay. I took a moment to breathe, to settle into this strange new reality. My reflection in the dark computer screen showed a woman trying desperately to keep her mask of poise intact. A disgraced PR agent who'd stumbled into a secretive firm promising salvation if I played by their rules. I ran my fingertips over the folder on the desk, the one Galen had given me. Its cover bore a subtle insignia, a stylized trident and a coiled serpent. My throat tightened. Don't get spooked, I muttered under my breath. This is just another client. Although I suspected this was more than a standard PR crisis. These people, things, were not normal. Still, a crisis was a crisis. Spin was spin. If I handled this well, I'd gain their trust, their protection, maybe even a path back to something that control over my life. I think that there's too much introspection between, like if you were reading this in person, it needs to be smoothed out. But that's easy to fix. I flipped the folder open. Inside, crisp pages outlined the client, Seraphina Moon, a wildly popular social media influencer known for her ethereal aesthetic, long silver hair, immaculate makeup, and a platform built on aspirational luxury mixed with spiritual mumbo jumbo. She touted positivity, crystal healing, and cosmic energy to her legion of followers. According to this report, Seraphina had signed a contract with Infernal Influence a year ago. The details were vague, but the implications weren't. She owed something to someone down here, and now she was causing trouble. I skimmed the summary. Seraphina has threatened to expose unethical sponsor deals if not released from certain contractual obligations. Risk high. She scheduled a live stream today for 3 p.m. Eastern to address her followers. Rumors suggest she might hint at the supernatural nature of her agreements. Prevent disclosure. Maintain her brand alignment with approved messaging. Failing that, discredit or redirect the narrative. Direct access to her PR team's liaison, Mr. Volkov, internal records, and her public channels. I tapped the desk with a nail, thinking. This was classic crisis management. A client about to go rogue. In human PR, I'd have locked Seraphina in a conference room with lawyers and NDAs until she saw reason. But down here, I suspected the methods might be more flexible. The folder's last page mentions a liaison within Infernal Influence. Cain, integration specialist. A note. Cain will assist in message alignment and compliance enforcement. Compliance enforcement? Sent a chill along my spine. I closed the folder and reached for the phone on my desk. It was a sleek handset with no visible buttons, just a black surface. When I lifted it, I heard a faint hum. Something about it felt alive, as if waiting for my command. Call Galen, I said, feeling ridiculous, talking to the phone like it was Alexa. A faint crackle, then Galen's voice purred through it. Yes, Miss Dane? I need to speak to this Cain. Also, I'll need any internal documents on Seraphina's deal and direct content info for her team. Of course. Cain will be there shortly. Documents will appear on your laptop momentarily. Thank you, I said, and the line went dead without a click. I drummed my fingers on the desk. This place was too smooth, too seamless. It unsettled me. I opened my laptop to find a secure client dashboard already populated with detailed contract terms. I skimmed Seraphina's original deal. Something about guaranteed fame and influence in exchange for promoting certain ideas, subtle pushes toward vanity, envy, and obsession. Pretty standard influencer territory, but here it was deliberate, orchestrated by forces beyond simple greed, human greed. Seraphina's followers were being nudged toward darker impulses, dressed up as self-improvement. A noise at the door made me look up. It opened without a knock, and in strolled a man who could have stepped out of a high-fashion magazine. Tall, lean, with ink-black hair that fell artfully over his forehead. His suit was tailored to perfection. Shirt collar opened at the throat, no tie. He carried himself with a confident slouch, hands in his pocket, as if every corridor in this infernal office belonged to him. But it was his eyes that drew me in. Dark, smoldering, and far too knowing. You must be Tessa. His voice was rich, faintly amused. I stood, meeting his gaze. Cain, I presume? He gave a lazy half bow. The one and only. There was a tension in the air that I couldn't place. He looked human, but something underneath his skin suggested otherwise, like a predator wearing a charming mask. I'd met plenty of dangerous men in boardrooms, CEOs, mobbed-up investors, but this felt different. He smirked as if reading my thoughts. We have a situation, I said, keeping my voice professional. Serafina Moon is about to break contract. I need to know how far we can go to rein her in. Cain leaned against the door frame, arms crossed. Straight to business. I like that. As for Serafina, her obligations are ironclad. She tries to expose us, she's in breach. Normally, we'd handle this quietly, but the partners want a subtle touch for this one. He paused, studying me. They want to see what you can do. I raised an eyebrow. What I can do? He nodded slowly. You're here because you fix messes. She's about to create one. Show them you're worth the investment. A flicker of resentment lit in my chest. I didn't appreciate being tested. Fine. I'll start by reaching out to her team. Preemptive strike. Offer a revised narrative. If she's feeling cornered, we give her a way out that doesn't involve bearing our secrets. Maybe promise her a new sponsorship angle or a carefully staged scandal to distract her audience. Cain tilted his head intrigued. A scandal to hide a scandal? Redirection, I said calmly. If we can't silence her, we drown her message in something louder and more appealing. Her fans follow her because she's glamorous and aspirational. If we feed them a juicy drama, maybe a rumored romance or a feud with a rival influencer, they'll focus on that instead of her cryptic confessions. His lips quirked into a slow smile. Clever. Demons down here might go straight for intimidation, but you'd lead her and her audience by the nose. I ignored the demon reference. If he was joking, I wasn't sure how to read it yet, and nodded. That's what I do. Can I get her PR liaison's contact info? He sauntered over the desk, leaning down beside me. He smelled faintly of something smoky and sweet, like expensive cologne mixed with incense. With a tap on the laptop's touchscreen, he opened a secure message window. A name, Mr. Volkov, a number, a private chat portal. Volkov is, let's say he's our inside man on her team, Cain said. He can influence what happens behind the scenes. He owes us favors. He paused, eyes flickering to my face, lingering on my lips, then back to my eyes. Make good use of him. The scrutiny made me feel both uneasy and oddly flattered. His attention had weight. I cleared my throat and clicked into the chat interviews. Volkov, this is Tessa Dane, new crisis manager at Infernal Influence. We have a situation with Serafina. Need immediate update on her mindset and plans for the 3 p.m. live stream. Respond ASAP. I hit send. A little confirmation symbol appeared. While I waited, I closed the chat and looked up at Cain. He hadn't moved. So, Cain, I said, keeping my voice neutral, what exactly is your role here besides assisting me? He gave a slow shrug. Integration specialist. I ensure new hires, human hires, learn the ropes. I smooth out misunderstandings, provide enforcement where necessary. The way he said human hires sent a chill through me. He wasn't trying to hide it, was he? This was Hell's PR firm. They were demons. My mind spun with the implications, but I kept my face carefully blank. I couldn't afford to let fear show. Enforcement, I repeated. So if I fail, you're the muscle they send in? Cain chuckled, a low, warm sound. If you fail, Tessa, we all fail. That wouldn't serve anyone's interests. I studied him for a moment, taking in the fine details. The slightest tilt of his mouth, the relaxed posture, the lingering gaze that felt almost flirtatious. He seemed confident, predatory, and yet I sensed curiosity from him, as if he were intrigued by my presence. I wondered what he knew about me that I didn't know about him. Something deeper than just client files. A ping drew my attention back to the laptop. Volkov had replied. Volkov, Serafina is unstable, nervous. She's been ranting about wanting freedom, threatening to hint at supernatural dealings. She believes she can break her contract if the public sides with her against corrupt sponsors. She hasn't revealed specifics yet, but she's in a mood to drop hints. We have about an hour before the live stream. I typed quickly. Tessa, we can't let her frame herself as a victim of unknown forces. We need a distraction. Is there a rival influencer we can use? A known feud or a potential scandal that could be exploited to capture audience interest and overshadow her revelations? Volkov replied almost instantly. There's a rival, Kimber Lux. Past tension over brand endorsements. If Serafina accuses Kimber of sabotage or of copying her style, fans might focus on that drama instead of Serafina's cryptic claims. Perfect. I glanced at Cain. We'll nudge her toward attacking Kimber Lux. Let's feed her team evidence that Kimber is planning to launch a competing product line identical to Serafina's. That'll enrage her. She'll pivot to calling Kimber out instead of revealing her supernatural contract. Cain's smile broadened. Devious. The partners will appreciate your approach. I swallowed. The partners. Adrian, Marina, and who knew who else. They were watching, judging. I typed instructions to Volkov, crafting a narrative. Kimber Lux rumored to unveil a suspiciously similar skincare line next week. Faked, leaked images. Serafina's fans would eat it up. Scandalous, juicy, perfectly timed for maximum distraction. Once Serafina took the bait, her live stream would become a tirade against Kimber rather than a confession of hellish dealings. Now to ensure Serafina sees that evidence before she goes live. Volkov promised to slip it into her feed of prep materials. Serafina's mood, already anxious and paranoid, would latch onto the juicy drama. She'd protect herself the only way influencers know how, by going on the attack. No time to cry foul about supernatural forces when you can scream betrayal and plagiarism. I sent the final instructions and leaned back. The plan was in motion. Cain watched me with an approving tilt of his head. You made that look easy. Because it is when you understand how fear and pride move people, I said. Everyone's predictable if you know what their insecurities lie. He chuckled. You'll fit in nicely. The clock on my laptop said 2:15 p.m. I had 45 minutes to monitor and adapt if needed. In the meantime, I had questions. I tapped my pen against the desk. Cain, tell me something. What happens if she tries to tell the truth anyway, if she ignores our distraction? He shrugged, the light catching the black sheen of his hair. Then we have contingencies. Technical glitches, account hacks, discrediting links about her personal life. We can flood the internet with contradictory narratives until hers drown in noises. Worst case, we pull the plug entirely. My stomach tightened at the phrase, pull the plug. What did that mean exactly? Kill the live stream or something more literal? I pushed the thought aside for now. Understood. Silence settled. I busied myself by checking the influencer's social accounts. Her feed was filled with pastel-hued photos, vague inspirational quotes, and product links, all perfectly curated until now. Soon, she'd be in front of millions, ready to drop a bombshell. But instead of revealing the hellish underbelly of her success, she'd deliver a different kind of spectacle. Cain straightened. I'll be back shortly, he said. Need to confirm a few things. He didn't wait for a response, just slipped out. The door closed with a soft click. I exhaled, shoulders loosening. He was intense, charismatic, and there was something else. A warmth, tension that hummed between us, even though we'd only just met. Maybe it was just the adrenaline of the situation. Maybe he was playing a role. I'd known plenty of charming liars in my day, and Cain might just be one more, a dangerous one. Okay, I'm going to pause real fast so I can see your guys' reflections. Let me go to the thing. Good word count. Yeah, she's a little too, the pacing is off. She's too insightful. Easy to cut out a lot. Yeah, this is when I start telling it everything that's wrong. And so did Galen leave and I miss it? Down here suggests she knows that she's in an underworld. I think that's one of the only Russian names it knows because a client of mine also is a Volkov Bratva book. Volkovs, those are the Russian mob family in my series. Yeah. I chose the name. Volkov is one of the top Russian surnames. I have Volkovs too, but I chose the name. Didn't know it was being overused out there. Yeah. So, Alyssa says, the writing style is so good, but the content needs plenty of cuts and reworking. I'm dying from all these blatant supernatural elements. Yeah, I'm about to tell it to revise chapter 2 and chapter 1, 2, and 3 entirely because there's like way too much like it's too on the nose about the supernatural. Thank you, Matthew. You are amazing. This is like not me, but I see what this tool with this tool, it can be me. Yeah. We're just skimming the surface. Listen, I just learned tonight that this thing is a punk, and that's how we have to prompt it. Like, I agree. The pacing is off. I think we need to start dividing these into more chapters. I'm going to basically say, okay, chapters 1, 2, and 3. I think we need to go with shorter chapters, more chapters, and really cut some of the supernatural stuff down. So, because like we need to kind of like think about the outline and at what point is she going to know that she's in the supernatural world. I think that that's a key part of the kind of conflict at the beginning. So we need that adjusted a little bit. Okay, but I want to see, I have to know what happens though, you know? Okay. The minutes ticked by. I monitored the live updates. Volkov sent me screenshots of Serafina's prep notes, a newly inserted rumor packet about Kimber, side-by-side product comparisons, anonymous insider DM suggesting Kimber planned on to hijack Serafina's brand. Perfect. Serafina's comments on her private Discord channel, shared covertly by Volkov, showed fury brewing. If they think they can steal my ideas, I'll expose them for who they really are. Good. She was taking the bait. By 2:50 p.m., I felt confident enough to relax a fraction. This would work. A soft knock on my door startled me. This time I opened it to find a young woman holding a tray with 2 cups of coffee. Her eyes were a peculiar amber, and her polite smile never touched them. Compliments of the integration team, she said, her voice low and musical. A little pick-me-up before showtime. I took a cup, murmuring thanks. She left without another word. Coffee at a time like this might steady my nerves. The sip revealed a taste unlike any coffee I'd known. Rich, spicy, with a hint of bitterness that reminded me of dark chocolate and something else I couldn't name. It warmed my throat, calming me. At 2:59, the live stream window popped up on my laptop, courtesy of Volkov's feed. Serafina appeared on screen, sitting below a halo light in her luxurious apartment. She looked nervous, eyes darting, lips pressed thin. She cleared her throat, then smiled for her audience, voice lilting and faux friendly. "Hello, my lovelies," she began. "I know you've heard rumors. I've been under a lot of pressure lately, and I want to set the record straight." My heart beat faster. This was the moment. Would she blow the lid off this entire operation or pivot as intended? Serafina took a breath. "There have been forces at play trying to control me, trying to box me in." My hand clenched the edge of the desk. "But today I learned something truly shocking. I've discovered that a certain rival influencer has been planning to copy my signature product line and release it next week." The chat on the screen exploded. "Who? Oh my God, tell us. Kimber? Is it Kimber?" Serafina's eyes hardened. "Yes, I'm talking about Kimber Lux. The rumors are true. She's a fraud and a copycat. She's been working behind the scenes to undermine everything I built." I almost laughed in relief. She'd taken the bait perfectly, leading her fans down a rabbit hole of influencer drama rather than corporate devilry. Good girl. As Serafina ranted about Kimber's supposed betrayal, I glanced up. Cain stood in the doorway again, silent and watchful. I hadn't heard him open the door. He gave me a small nod of approval. The next 10 minutes were a flurry of accusations, tears, and dramatic sighs. No mention of supernatural sponsors, no hints at contracts with hell, just good old-fashioned influencer feuding. Fans lapped it up. I monitored the live chat, speculation about Kimber's motives, memes, jokes, supportive messages for Serafina. They were hooked. At 3:15, Serafina ended her live stream with a defiant vow to stand tall against copycats. I shut the feed, exhaling. Crisis averted, at least for now. My job was done. Cain strolled in, slow and casual. "Nicely done," he said, voice like velvet. "You've prevented a breach of contract and kept her in line. The partners will be pleased." I straightened, allowing a thin smile. "So, I passed your little test?" "For now," he murmured. "This is just the beginning, Tessa. There will be more complicated scenarios ahead." He leaned in slightly, close enough that I felt the warmth of him, the scent of that smoky cologne. "But I have a feeling you'll rise to the challenge." His nearness set off a flutter in my stomach. I met his gaze, refusing to back down. "I'm counting on it," I said. My voice was steady, but my heart was racing. The tension between us was palpable, but I couldn't quite decipher it. Was it attraction, or was he just testing me further? Before I could dwell, Cain's phone buzzed. He pulled it out, an old-fashioned looking device, sleek black with strange runes on the screen, and frowned. "I need to speak to Adrian. In the meantime, enjoy your success." With a final lingering glance, he left. I breathed out, letting the tension evaporate. Success. So far, so good. I've done what they asked, shown them my worth. Still, a part of me feared I was being drawn into something deeper, something I might not escape. For now, I'd gather my strength, keep my eyes open, and play the game. Okay, so let's talk for a second. Color. I'm going to start my videos with "Hello, my lovelies." Susan, "Dude, don't drink in hell. You don't know what's in there." I thought the same thing. Okay. I think we have good material here with chapters 1, 2, and 3. I think the pacing is still way too fast. I think that we need more reluctance. I like this whole setup, but like when she's helping with Serafina, I think we need her to think like this is kind of a routine kind of PR crisis. So that then she is dangled with the apartment that they give her and the money and all of the resources and like this, you're exactly who we needed. And we have more clients and da, 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 da. So she signs that contract. And, I also think that has to be a tension in there. I think there's like 4 to 5 chapters, maybe even 6 to 7 chapters worth of material here that could be expanded out. But I really like it. Like a lot. It does remind me of The Devil's Advocate. Not entirely, because she's but it's also like The Firm, and Devil's Advocate is a movie I love, but this also reminds me of Lucifer. It also reminds me of Buffy in some cases. There's a lot of different things here. Right. It's routine with some subtle weirdness, but she needs to be invested before discovering what's going on. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. I agree. I would much rather have something like this, and I've got to tone it down a little bit, than the dribble I've been getting with all the clacking heels and everything like that. I love that. Punk knows its market. Yes, Punk does. We're so proud of Punk. Angel, The Firm, there. Yeah, it totally is. But it needs a little bit. Slow it down. All right, I want us to check out Cain, and then we will wrap this up, and then we'll continue this with a later live or something. I don't have it on the schedule yet. Like, I got to check it. And Rick agrees. I would tone down, but not remove all the supernatural references. No, I'd probably cut them by half, though. Some of them are really good. Some of them are like, really? Like the sconces being devil horns. That wasn't a detail that we needed. Okay. Cain's point of view is in first person. So this amount, 802. So we'll read it, but it's got to change it. Away from the corridor of mortal offices and neatly arranged desks, Cain stepped into a private alcove. The atmosphere changed instantly. Warmer, dimmer, air infused with incense and sulfur. This was a place outside mortal perception, a side corridor reserved for staff who didn't quite fit the human mold. Well, she performed admirably. Seraphina's crisis is contained, no public hint of our involvement. Tessa displayed quick thinking, strategic manipulation, exactly what you predicted. Adrian's lips curved slightly. Excellent. And her demeanor? Cain considered how Tessa had stood her ground, how she matched his gaze without flinching. Her voice strong, her mind sharp. Underneath her mortal fragility lay something potent. She's cautious, but determined, intelligent. She didn't panic. Also, she seems curious. Adrian's eyes gleamed. Curious is good. We want her engaged, eager to prove herself. Does she suspect the full nature of our business? She knows something's off. She's no fool, but I don't think she grasps the scale. Yet. For now, she's content to treat this like a high-stakes PR gig. Humans are good at rationalizing what they can't fully explain. Keep her that way for now. Let her questions simmer without reaching a boil. And what of your impression, Cain? You know our broader interest is in her. Our broadest interest in her. Is she suitable? Cain recalled the intensity of her eyes, the stubborn set of her jaw. He had been briefed, of course. Okay. She's suitable. She'll thrive with the right nudges. She's hungry for redemption, for power. We can give her that. That's good, but I really want this from his point of view. And if he enjoyed her company along the way, well, that was just a perk of the job. Okay. I'm going to pause it. What she said. Yeah, this is not a coda that we need. This is not a TV show. All righty. So here's what I think we've got on our hands. We have a model that has been trained differently than anything that has been trained up to this point. And they weren't really clear when it first released how they trained it. They basically talked about these reasoning tokens and everything like that. It was only after, like I said, I watched the snickers and the giggles and watching them. That was a really bad release of this. Like, nobody was sold on this thing after watching it decide what a satellite needs, or talking about this, the human or the Roman empires, whatever it was. I don't know. It was a stupid historical question. I remember that. I remember watching that guy do that thing and thinking, like, that's not a feature. I don't need it to do that. He's like, oh, I ask it a lot of historical questions. And I'm thinking to myself, why? There's so many other resources that are better for that. But okay, whatever. what I've come to realize is that this model is a punk. If it is a schemer, we have to prompt it in a way to let it think that it's scheming. We almost kind of have to do like a deal with the devil, like Tessa, where, oh, we need to let it think it's in charge, but really we're in charge. Now, some of us have great experience with that. So this is going to be fun. It's fun writing with this thing. I like reading what it wrote. I enjoy it more than any model that I have seen write so far that I haven't trained. And we are going to be able to do reinforcement learning with this thing and fine tuning. So all of that is on the horizon. This is not a call to buy the $200 model. I don't know that I'm going to keep it after this month. I'm going to wait for it to have more features. I want it to be able to export files. I want it to be able to do the same things that 4.0 can do. So listen up, Sam Altman. You got 30 days to impress me that it does more. Lynn goes, oh my God, it's my career all over again. I know. Oh, and you're welcome, Rachel. You know, it was an accident. I was like, I stumbled upon this. I didn't know what to do. It clicked for me and I was like, let's go. That's how I like to do things. It doesn't seem like it's having a hard time with I think it needs more curse words in there too. Like there needs to be more curse words, maybe not with the hi lovelies, but like the demons. I want them to be more like a frat house, you know, like a frat house that is like in their senior year of college. That's the level of behavior I want. I also think that this story is going to improve if we throw a party scene in there and there's some kissing and all kinds of like fun stuff going on. That I think will read really well and be on trend. So yeah, I'm excited to play with this some more. I don't know when I will be back on YouTube to play with this some more. You have enough to get started with your own stories. Please don't take my PR devil one. I mean, you can. We'll all just have AI stories that are PR devil influence ones. But I already have covers for these. So I'm excited to finish this off. Yeah. Any other questions or thoughts before I close off the live, which we've been on for 2 hours? Oh, please like and subscribe. We are literally like 18 people away from 4,000 subscribers. And Ikella will be over the moon if we get to 4,000 subscribers. So please like and subscribe. If you have already liked and subscribed, recommend this video to one of your friends. Like we did a lot of training for 2 hours. Join the mastermind. If you like this kind of like exploration, we do this kind of stuff all the time. There's no end to this. Like earlier today, we all learned about a whole new framework for agents that's called Pydantic. It's Python and Pedantic put together. Oh, and we have something that's good. Alyssa, who's a member of the FFA, and she's also part of the alpha team for Rexy 2.0, said, I checked 01 for assist versus ghostwriter, and it's the same so far. Very excited to start another experiment. Rick says, how can I send you the covers I worked on? Rick, in the Discord is fine. Harper goes, I'll have to play with 01 preview a little more. You and me both. Now I won't be upset spending $32 with Strawberry. So yeah, end of the story. Strawberry's a punk. And if anyone can figure out how to make it work, it's us here at the Future Fiction Academy. All right, everyone. I will see you tomorrow for boot camp, where we're going to talk about Pride and Prejudice, and probably, you know, we're going to field trip. So I'll see you at boot camp. We'll field trip to 01, the punk. And oh wait, you said still mad, Alyssa? It's still not good or still bad? Maybe it's a typo. Oh no. Rachel asks, how did it get the name Strawberry? Because the first test that they did with this thing is count the number of R's in the word strawberry. Oh, still mad about how much it costs. Yeah, me too. Oh, about the $32. Yeah. Sorry. There's a delay on these things. So what I was going to say is, please like and subscribe to the channel. Please join us in the mastermind. Olivia says I subscribed and we are at 4K. Woohoo! Yes, because the engineers are punks. And for the engineers watching this at OpenAI, we love your punkiness. Give us all your punkiness. You just got to tell us that the model is a punk, and we have to not be polite with it. I mean, We are still polite, but like we just have to know that this is different than the other models. And I understand how you weren't able to basically express that. You were too excited about aligning satellites. And I get that. Because I get that. Like, we love you guys. We just, it's not always the most efficient way to live life. So there's now a reason for O1 preview. Definitely worth the $20 Chatgpt, I think, for the 50 a day. The link, Matthew, you're asking about the mastermind. It's the link for it is in your notes. So it's also at futurefictionacademy.com. It's 30 days free. After that, it's $159 a month. You're not locked in. You can come, you can be for a month and then leave. Anyone who is a member of the mastermind, at least for 1 month and pays for a month, if you email us of like, hey, you're taking a break or whatever, if you want to come back, you can always come back at the price that you were at. Because I can tell you right now, in the new year, when we reopen next year, the pricing will go up. We are moving at light speed in terms of figuring out what AI can do with creative writing and making it work for us. Okay. Not making it be the assistant or just the brainstorming tool. Like, for crying out loud, we've had Plotomatic for like decades. Okay. We've had books to help with plot and everything like that. None of that brainstorming help is really that innovative. The ability to string together the character motivations and stuff I just saw that the punk did, that's impressive. That impresses me. That makes me inspired to take all the stories I have in my head and say, here, help me write them. Because the people who need them are readers. I thoroughly enjoyed reading that. And I'm going to thoroughly enjoy reading more of what O1 Punk has to write and whatever other models and their sassiness that come down the lines in the future. So I hope to see you in lab. If not, we have community classes that are free. We have standalone classes that are available for a one-time fee. And we always have the YouTube. And we do cool stuff on the YouTube, like this 2-hour live. So share it with your friends. This is a huge inflection point. The train is at the station. People can still get on the train. But I think in the next couple of months, the train's going to leave the station. And it's going to be that much harder for everyone to catch up. All right, everyone. Have a great night. And I will see you guys all this week. Bye. Love you. Bye-bye.